Hello and welcome to another episode of Brit Does Baseball Does podcast. Another Rounders Roundup, another week of baseball. I am here this week with Cal. How's it going, Cal?
Good. I'm excited because it feels like things are actually happening now. The season's like underway. There's drama and everything. It's awesome. How are you?
Yeah, I feel that way. I feel as though I'm enjoying the idea of baseball and watching every team other than my own, which is fine. I can live with that. As at least there is baseball, like you say.
Yeah, no, baseball is simultaneously the best sport in the world and the fucking worst thing that's ever. But I'd be a happier man if baseball had never been invented, I think.
I feel you. Every inning is like that Sopranos meme. That's like last week you said it was so over, and now you're saying it's so back. What's changed? Every inning seems to go from it's so back to it's so over.
It's every pitch, dude. It's it's less than that. It's yeah, no, I don't know. It feels like I think because the weather's been like consistently a bit nicer here as well, where like it's the start of the season's always a bit sad because you're looking at like the Braves playing and everyone's like sweating their tits off, and then you look out the window and it's like 5 and raining. Like what? It's not fair, but it's I don't know. It feels like baseball again, and the baseball gods have decided to throw in a little extra drama this year. I think it's Saturday. I can't remember exactly, but it's within the last week. Otherwise, we wouldn't be talking about it today. The fucking Red Sox, dude,
Yeah,
they've
it,
sacked
it's
everyone.
it's
Everyone's gone.
crazy.
So
It's like they sacked everyone who picked up the phone. I mean, they didn't leave any stone unturned, really.
yeah, so they have sacked Alex Cora, who is the head coach. They have sacked hitting coach Pete Fatsi, third base coach Kyle Hudson, bench coach Ramon Vasquez, assistant hitting coach Dylan Lawson, because just the hitting coach wasn't enough, and major league strategist Joe Cronin. So that is 6 kind of major coaches. I think you're right. The only reason the bullpen coach wasn't sacked was because he was having dinner with his family. I reckon. He just missed the call. Um, the Red Sox players seem to be just in shock about it.
Mm.
The only quote I could find that wasn't just like, I don't know, was Trevor Story. He was quite clearly unhappy about the whole thing. He gave quite a lengthy statement about it, but said some of the best coaches in the world didn't get a fair shot, which I think is a little bit damning of the ownership group there, and saying, it's too early. The Red Sox were what I can't find it on my sheet here. 10-17 this year, which isn't good. It isn't where the Red Sox want to be, but it could be worse.
Yeah, it
It
could be
does feel
worse.
it does feel early. And clearly Trevor Story and his pals think so. This is was Alex Cora's 8th year in charge of the Red Sox. Um, yeah, I don't know. A part of me likes that the ownership group have like made a decision and they've gone, no, this isn't working. Let's get rid of it, because it isn't just 27 games. It's 7 years and 27 games. I think I read that they'd made the playoffs twice or something in that time. Um, it's not really good enough for the Red Sox. It's just a really strange time to make these changes. I think either at the All Star break or before the season starts made a bit more sense, because I don't know. Maybe they've got their eye on someone in particular. I don't know much about the free agent coach world in baseball, but you know, they have to have a plan. I mean, they sacked the guy that's job it was to have a plan. I didn't know major league strategist was. Surely that's not a job, because the strategy is just win games. Really,
Right. Yeah.
I reckon I could do that significantly cheaper than whatever they're doing. Um, yeah, what do you think? Do you think it's early? Do you think it's a good move? Do you think it's fucking batshit insane? What do you reckon?
Yeah, I mean, I'm much the same boat as you. Just it feels way too early to make this kind of decision. And like, you know, if like you're saying, if you were a team who sacked your manager this early on in the season, the dream would be that a guy like Alex Cora was available to hire to replace him. Like that is the guy you'd want. So it doesn't make sense to me. And I think that even more unbelievably, of the many crazy things about this is that they'd won, what was it, 17-1 the day before against the Orioles. Or literally like hours before he was fired. I feel like you just have to, even just for vibes, just wait for a loss before you do it. Just wait an extra day. It won't make a difference. Um, yeah, just bizarre. I think it comes down to Breslow and Cora just have never really gotten on. And I think maybe this all started with, well, it probably started earlier than that, but started necessarily with the Devers trade last year. Like, I don't know necessarily that that was a Cora decision as much as it was a Breslow decision. And I think, like you're saying as well, it seems decisive, but I think Red Sox fans are maybe worried that like ownership is a little bit asleep at the wheel and is letting Craig Breslow kind of make all the decisions for the team because John Henry and that kind of group maybe seem a little bit checked out at this point. You know, they've made their money out of the Red Sox. I wouldn't be surprised if maybe they looked at selling it at some point, like within the next 5 years. Um, so yeah, just crazy. I mean, as a fan of a team who is currently has, you know, many discussions about whether they will get rid of their manager, if a guy like Cora was available, putting aside all the Astro stuff, I wouldn't mind a guy like that. So yeah, just bizarre, really bizarre.
Yeah, and in all of the kind of interviews I could find with all the players was that they were saying about how much they loved playing for him and how they all felt so supported. And they were like, you could do anything and he was gonna have your back and he would like deal with it in a very professional way. And it seems like somebody that as a player you'd run through a brick wall for. So clearly there's there's a line between being an owner's manager and being a player's manager that Cora was too far over the other side of potentially. So I have no doubt that he'll find work soon enough in the major leagues and hopefully things will work out better for him. What is interesting is that we spent a lot of last year kind of debating what the Red Sox should do with their outfield because it felt like they've got maybe one too many players there that deserve to be playing every day. And we were getting quite excited about, you know, you could trade one of these for like a lot. And so just out of curiosity, out of those kind of four outfielders, you got Roman Anthony, you got Jaron Duran, um, you've got the other two. I can't remember their names off the top of my head. Those were the two that I spent a lot of time thinking about. Which of those kind of, largely those two, would you kind of look at trading, do you think, if you were put in charge?
I think you kind of have to trade Duran. I think they've hitched their wagon to Roman Anthony at this point, and you know that there was a lot of issues with his defense to start the year, and his bat hasn't looked super hot really to start the year either. But you could say that of anybody on the Red Sox. Like, I think one of the things about the Cora firing that is again weird is that like this roster compared to what he inherited 8 years ago since the World Series is just like nowhere near, you know, other than extending Crochet, like they haven't made any kind of big moves like that, like letting Bregman go. Um, so yeah, I mean, but you'd never say no, I guess, to a guy like Roman Anthony. Um, so I'd probably go for Duran for the trade candidate. Is it Rafaela as well, the other young guy they've signed?
That's
Um,
the one. And then there
yeah.
was the older guy. I remember that. I can't remember his name.
Um, Abreu, Willie Abreu.
There you go.
Yeah.
Um, Was Jaron Duran, was he the one that shouted the homophobic slur at one of the Mets?
That's the one. Yeah, yeah,
I'd probably want to trade him away from my team, but that's just me.
yeah.
I don't really like that stuff.
Did you watch the Netflix documentary they did at the Red Sox season last year, or was it the year
No,
before?
but I know plenty of people that did, and they all said it was fantastic, and there was some quite emotional stories about Jaron Duran, which
Yeah,
I hope he's doing okay. Don't say that though. Don't we can't be throwing slurs out like that. That's not okay. But yeah, I'm glad he's doing all right.
yeah. I think that's the thing about it is like it makes you feel as sympathetic as it is possible to feel about a guy who did that, which is there's a limit, but they do a good job.
No, absolutely. And speaking of being sympathetic and having a limit to it, the Cubs are winning, and that's good ultimately because lots of people are having a fun time. But ultimately, that does mean that teams are losing, and the Giants are going to be one of those teams whenever we play them. Um, yeah, the Cubs keep winning. So Gaz keeps telling us he's every day in the group chat. He's like, "That's 11 now, by the way," and just kind of keeping up. Do you know much of what's going on? Because I don't.
That's fair. I assume Gaz is on top of it. But yeah, it was a 10 game win streak in the end, including two wins against the Dodgers, um, which was, yeah, I'd say the highlight. They came back down from four behind against the Dodgers in their 10th game. Um, sorry, it was just the one win against the Dodgers. But yeah, a really impressive win. They took the lead in the ninth with a go ahead from Dansby Swanson, which is kind of as dramatic as it gets and as impressive as it gets for a team, I guess, that had probably like middling expectations going into the year. Like people probably thought they were good and good enough to get to the playoffs, but kind of not necessarily looking at them as like a proper World Series contender. But like Seiya Suzuki has looked really good. Dansby Swanson has looked kind of back to his old self a little bit. Don't know if that'll last, but it is what it is. The rotation is looking pretty good, like pretty consistent. But yeah, the other side of it you have to consider is that a lot of those wins came against the Phillies and the Mets, who are as easy as games get at the moment. But even so, it was definitely an impressive win streak.
I did see the highlights. It's not often that Gaz tells me to watch highlights from a Cubs game, but he was like, "Watch the Cubs Dodgers highlights." It was on Saturday morning. I watched it, so it was Friday night. I think this was the game that they came back in the ninth,
Mhm.
and Nico Horner makes this like diving barehanded catch to like then throw the guy out at first. And I was like watching it at work, pretending to like type something up for someone with like the stuff there. And I went, "Oh shit." And this guy was like, "Is everything okay?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, no, your money's fine." I got a message from someone, something crazy's happened in a different branch. Um, it was the coolest thing I'd ever seen. It was really, really great. Yeah, no, that I I haven't seen too much to speak on it extensively. I usually let Gaz handle Cubs talk. Um, he's very happy to do so most of the time. Sometimes he's a little upset. Yeah, 10 games winning streak, even if it is against the Mets and the Phillies, that's nothing to sneeze at. The Phillies did do the opposite though. So they went on a 10-game losing streak. Um, so prior to Saturday, they had lost 10 games and then they won on Saturday and then they lost again on Sunday. So in 12 games, it's 11 losses. They beat the Braves, I believe it was 8-5. The Phillies, so I went and got some stats up because I was curious, like how bad is bad, like compared to everyone else. So the Phillies are ranked 28th in runs and RBIs with about 101 and 100 or whatever. There, it's not many. Um, they are ranked 29th in batting average. Carl Schwarber, who was kind of the big free agent, not acquisition, but kind of They kept him. They kept hold of him. He didn't leave. They gave him a lot of money to stay. He is hitting 196, but has hit 9 home runs. So that's really feels like every time he's making contact, it's going over the fence, but it's not happening much. But the biggest news I think about the whole thing was that they had released Taiwan Walker on Thursday, I believe it was, who had a 9.13 ERA and a record of 1-4 on this season. He's in his last year, or was in his last year, of a 4-year, $72 million contract. He was owed $18 million going into this year. I didn't realize, but he was pretty shocking last year as well. It says here that they spent most of last year between kind of the rotation and the bullpen. It's just kind of, I don't know. I always kind of expect the Phillies to be like pretty fucking good, and they're actually pretty fucking shit, I think. This year, at this point anyway, they'll turn it around. Their numbers didn't look too egregious when I looked at it individually. They're like big 5-6 guys, bar maybe JT Real Muto, being like, all right, well, that's fine. But I guess a large collection of guys doing fine is still not really good enough.
Yeah. I think the worry that I'd have for them is that like this almost felt like a bit of a last ride for those guys. Like they're all getting up there in age. I know they gave Schwarber like multiple years on that deal, but like he's not going to get better than he currently is. Yeah, even though he had that crazy year last year. You know, Bryce Harper, you know, the organization came out at the end of last year and said maybe he doesn't have it anymore, which might have been a motivation tactic, but it's not a great one. And the guys like Brandon Marsh and Real Muto, like you said, like they're not getting any younger. So if this is the last ride, I don't know that it's going to be any better than getting beaten in the divisional round again, which has kind of been the ceiling for this group, you know, other than that one World Series year. It's just not the most, doesn't inspire you with confidence. I guess, like you said, the win on Saturday, the bright spot is that Zach Wheeler is back, and I guess that gave them the freedom to then release Taiwan Walker, and he'll be like a great piece, like another former Met. But yeah, other than that, I was speaking to Gaz about this when we did our Mets therapy session episode, and part of that therapy was to enjoy how bad the Phillies are. But it like you don't necessarily think that this Phillies team has it in them to like get significantly better. Like they might have already hit their ceiling in previous years past. And I think there's now like a lack of trust at the front office, maybe from the fans, just because they've seen the same season play out over and over again. Which you take playoffs, divisional round, but it's not kind of what they were aiming for.
Yeah, no, I think with the talent on the team and how good they've been through the regular season for the last few years, yeah, you do expect the playoffs a little bit more than some other teams do, but you'd also expect to be vaguely competitive. And I don't know. I'm not a huge Phillies guy, but it's hard to say that they haven't had some exciting playoffs moments. Just not too many wins, and yeah, I personally don't think that they're gonna come back too hard. You know, they've always kind of been in and around the wild card, and that's probably where they'll end up this year because they won't. In the same way that the Rockies keep winning, the Phillies won't keep losing. Karma will kind of realign itself at some point. I don't know. It's just been quite comforting. That it's nice to remember that no matter how bad you feel like you're doing, someone is doing worse. And fortunately for us, it's been the Phillies this year.
Unfortunately for me, I think it might actually have been the Mets, who everyone has been pointing to and saying, well, it can't get worse than that. Yeah. Yeah.
How's it going with the Mets since the therapy session?
It hasn't gotten any better. We'd snapped our losing streak by beating the Twins, and then promptly, promptly got swept by the Rockies. So yeah, really good, really, really fantastic.
Good.
We've now lost 15 of our last 17, which I think included a 13 or 14 game losing streak. We played a doubleheader against the Rockies on Sunday at home at Citi Field and scored 1 run, making the Rockies rotation look like, they have the best pitching lab the world's ever seen. Yeah, it's pretty tough at the moment. It's turning into like an absolute disaster. And that is a team where you go down and you look at the OPS and you're like, nobody is playing well, apart from Soto, who has just come back from a 3-week injury, and Lindor, who is just going on to IL for probably at least 3 or 4 weeks. Everybody else is just way under expectations. Kodai Senga will probably get released or moved to the bullpen and then released. There's no obvious candidate to replace him, and we also need to move down David Peterson, either to release or put him in the bullpen. But none of that's good. We have 55-year-old Craig Kimbrell getting innings out of the bullpen for no reason. It just feels like an absolute nightmare. There's like videos of Bo Bichette sat in the dugout after a loss, like he's just lost Game 7 of the World Series, like the most emotional photo or video you can ever imagine. And it's like losing 3-1 to the Rockies in April. It's hard to think that it could get any worse. I think Mendoza will be fired. I don't know who they get to replace him. Maybe Cora. But yeah, it's pretty dire. All of the people who made fun of the Mets' approach to the offseason have been vindicated by the results, which I guess is nice for them.
I mean, yeah, maybe the Red Sox have started off this massive chain reaction in that, maybe Mendoza goes and Cora goes there, but then where does the hitting coach go? And then maybe there's going to be a whole host of coaching trades before there's really any players moving about. Yeah, no, I feel for Bo Bichette because he was hanging out in Toronto. He was with his best friend Vladdy. They were having a great time. They got to the World Series through the power of friendship almost exclusively. And now he's just getting abused in New York.
Yeah.
There was the one like base running error I saw of his as well, where he like didn't get back to first in time. I was like, man, nothing. When it's not going your way, it's really not going your way. If you could make, we'll go two changes to. It's going to take more than that to fix the team, but you can make 2 changes immediately to try and make the team better. What is it that you reckon you'd do?
Realistic changes or crazy changes?
Oh, we'll go one realistic, one silly.
Okay. Realistic change. I would not let Senga start another game this year. I would just either run a bullpen every 5 days, or I'd call up Christian Scott permanently to actually start games, or I'd look just to make a crazy trade like early in the season. I know early in the season it would take a lot more prospects than when we got close to the deadline, but I think at this point the season's over otherwise, and they kind of need to decide whether or not they want to compete this year. I'm not necessarily in the fire Mendoza. I think a lot of people would have said like realistically fire Mendoza, but Mendoza can't get them to hit the ball. Like that's the player's job, really. Like it's not his fault that they're all like below their historic average by a crazy amount. But I think just actions have consequences. Vibe shift. You can't run Kodai Senga out for another game.
Right.
It's just not viable. And then crazy, I would trade everything for Paul Skeens.
Just everyone, Soto, Frankie, Bichette, they're all gone. We get Skeens now.
You know what? I was thinking about this. I was like, who, if you had to tear it all down to the bare bones, who would you keep and who would you not keep? And I like Lindor is my favorite Met since I've like started watching. Like I love him to death. But I genuinely think the only guy who you're paying any real money to, who I'd really want to keep, is Soto. Like I think you could still get a really decent return for Lindor at this point of his career, and he'd be a hero for what he did in the playoffs against the Phillies and everything else in that MVP-ish season. And I think you could get a great return for Lindor. Run it out with the kids, Nolan McLean, Brett Beatty, why not Mark Vientos, Carson Benj. Just keep the kids, keep Soto, get rid of everything else, and trade for some superstars and just go back to the bare bones. And you know what? Fire David Stearns, because I think David Stearns only knows how to run a team with no money. I think he got money and he panicked and he doesn't know how to spend it. So yeah, that's my crazy idea. Trade everyone apart from Soto and the kids.
I dig it, honestly. Getting rid of Lindor could be good because maybe if you played Bichette in a position that he's like played before and is comfortable in, maybe he'd be slightly better as well.
That's the problem. We got too many shortstops. Like, because Ronnie Mauricio is another one of the kids who he wants to play shortstop. We've got all of our fielders are either shortstops or second baseman, and none of them are very good at it. So yeah, I don't know. It will get better. It will obviously get better because they're all talented players. But better would be like, oh, imagine if we finish 500. That would be nice. And like, this is the second most expensive team ever assembled, and we're aiming for 500.
It's the San Francisco Giants experience, my friend.
Well, yeah. I mean, I was saying this to Gaz the other day. It's like, it feels stupid to complain as a Mets fan because you have resources that like 29 or 28 other teams could only dream of having. But in some ways, it makes it a little bit more frustrating. But speaking of the Giants, I know there were a few things in particular you were looking to get on the soapbox about.
Yeah, if I'm gonna be loud when we're shit, I should be loud when we're good as well. So the Giants currently have won 7 of their last 10 games. Landon Roop, fucking make him the ace. He's fantastic. He's got 5 wins on the year, 37 strikeouts, which I think is pretty good. I think he went 7 2/3 last night, and like gave up a run or 1 3-run home run or something. He's great. He's fantastic. Luis Ariz, fucking fantastic at his job. If it wasn't for Nico Horner, probably the best second baseman in baseball right now. And that's only because I don't watch any other teams. So get mad at me all you want in the comments. I don't particularly care. Elliot Ramos he's hit 14 RBIs, which is a number that surprised me because it feels like he struck out at every at bat this year, but he's driving them in. That's all right. Casey Schmidt, my fucking boy. I'm not sure how aware you are of how much I love this man. But I am the founder and sole member of the United Kingdom Casey Schmidt fan club. He leads the team with home runs. Fine, it's 4, but he's he's doing it and he's hot. He's playing really well. And fucking Jung Hoo Lee he's playing up to his value. He got given like a $100 million contract, and it's not been great the first 2 years. He got injured halfway through his first year, and then last year is kind of coming back from the injury and was a little bit shaky. It was still pretty good, but wasn't fantastic. He's like fucking fantastic now of these last 10 games. Dog shit to start the year, don't get me wrong, but he's playing really well. He's within a day, he went from hitting sixth in the lineup to leading off, and then he went 4 for 4 with like, I think he was a home run shy of the cycle. It's ridiculous what that man's doing. He's also playing phenomenal defense in right field. Oracle Park is a difficult place to play right field, so I'm told. I've never done it, but I'd like to. Give me a shot. I'll do it cheaper.
A lot cheaper than Lee. He's on a big contract.
I'll do it for less than $1 million. I'll play an entire season's right field for the San Francisco Giants.
That's
In
a
fact,
bargain.
I'll give you 20 quid per game. Just let me do it. I tried pulling up some stats because the feeling's gotten better around the Giants, and it's like, oh, we can win, and then we've got some vaguely winnable series. We've got the Phillies coming up next, and the Rays after that, which is going to be a little bit more difficult, but not impossible. The Giants are still statistically appalling. They are 29th in runs and RBIs, and they are bottom for walks and stolen bases. They're just striking out and not scoring runs, which isn't obviously very good. Willie Adames and Rafael Devers have been bad to start the year. Willie Adames seems to go in like 4 or 5 game stretches of being fantastic and then dog shit. Somewhere in between would be really good. Daniel Susak's injured. That's a bit of a bummer because it doesn't put as much pressure on walk-off Bailey to do his job. But, you know, we're getting closer to that sweet 500 in which we tend to live. But the series win against the Dodgers that'll make you feel better about just about everything. So yeah, I don't hate baseball as much as I did about a week ago, but
Yeah.
there's still time. There's still absolutely time for us to get swept by the Phillies. So
that would be impressive at this point. But I guess a team on a streak like that is always one you're most scared of because it feels like they have to turn it around at some point.
yeah,
I was gonna say. Oh, sorry. No, you go.
Oh, I was just gonna say I think the Phillies don't get to play Adrian Hauser, which is good. I think in a text in the group chat I said Adrian Hauser might be worse than racism.
It remains to be seen. You know, it's a long season.
God, I hope he turns it around. But no, what were you up to?
I was gonna say, like, as a NL West team, like winning a series against the Dodgers is probably just like, okay, things are going to be all right at least for the next week. I can dine out on that. That must feel pretty nice.
If we only won 9 games all season and they were all against the Dodgers, I couldn't care less. I really couldn't give less of a shit, just so long as we fucking Smurfs. But anyway, we got to wrap this up. But before we do that, there's some updates in the home run table.
Yes. The competition is kind of split into 2, I'll be honest. So if people aren't aware, we drafted players between the 5 of us, the 5 hosts and people in the Britas Baseball family, and took 5 players each, I believe. And yeah, the table is kind of bifurcated. So in first place is Josh with 35. And then I'm currently in second with 34. And then Alan is in third with 26. But then from there, Gaz is in fourth with 12. Cal, you're currently in fifth with 11. And Nathan currently bringing up the rear in last place with 9. So yeah, it's kind of become a tale of two halves, really. And would you like to guess at who the only player is who doesn't have a home run on the board out of the 30?
One of
Sorry? It is not. It's one of Nate. It's a very surprising player. I'll give you a hint. He plays in the NL West.
Oh shit. I'll
give you another. He plays on the Padres.
Oh my god. All right. I drafted Nathan's team. I should know this. Is it Manny Machado?
No, it's not Manny Machado. It's the other big dog in that
It's the
team.
other one. I
Yeah,
said Tatis.
yeah. He's the only player left out of the 30 that we drafted who hasn't hit a home run yet,
Oh my god.
which is surprising. I hadn't really realized that he was in a bit of a slump, and his average is okay, but yeah, he's hasn't hit a single home run yet this year.
But he was so good in the World Baseball Classic.
Yeah,
He's fucking phenomenal. The Padres
yeah.
have something weird going on. And they've just been sold as well. This is a couple weeks old now, but they've been sold for like $70 trillion or something bullshit. I will never understand what goes on with that team and where all this money seems to come from and why no one's ever particularly good for them.
Right. Yeah. They're always doing something. They're probably the busiest team in the league at just making trades, doing stuff.
Or maybe not anymore. He's gone.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
they might be run vaguely normally now, which is terrifying to think of.
Yeah. Does that scare you more than a team that's just kind of doing everything all at once?
No. The only thing I'm scared of is Rafael Devers actually hitting a ball. What to do with myself. But anyway, this has been wonderful. I hope you're all caught up on this week's news, brought to you remarkably professionally. I wonder how many times BBC News has aired the word fuck, because we've said it about 17 times today.
Yeah, we've got them beat. If that's the metric, then we're a premier news organization.
Hell yeah, we're definitely leading some kind of leaderboards. But anyway, we've been Brett Does Baseball. I've been Cal. George has been George. You've been wonderful. Have a lovely rest of your day, evening, doing whatever. Go watch some baseball. Goodbye.